Did you know over 60% of first-time clients do not return for a second visit? That is so painful, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's where Maya comes in. Maya is the ultimate marketing software for the beauty and wellness industry. We have a proprietary funnel utilizing special algorithms to help connect the right consumers with the right providers at your business. This means that Maya helps you get higher spending clients you love to work with who stay the long haul. If you want to increase your revenue, increase your client count, increase your average ticket, and increase your new client retention, then you need Maya. Go to joinmaya.com to set up your own personal virtual tour and see why over 500,000 consumers have trusted Maya and the businesses we work with to find their perfect beauty and wellness pro. We promise you will love Maya.
Thank you for joining me. This is Katie Whitledge with the Beyond the Technique podcast. Welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to talk about serve without sacrificing. We're going to get into setting boundaries and looking at our businesses behind the chair. We have the one and only Lexi Dawn here today. If you're not already following her on Instagram, what an education she provides for your life and running your business behind the chair. You need to go and follow her. We have her link in our show notes. She's been an industry influencer for many years. She's been in the industry now for 12 years. You're going to hear all about her journey today and what sets her soul on fire and how she serves this industry, yet does it without sacrificing her own well-being and personal boundaries. So without further ado, help me welcome Lexi Dawn. Welcome to Beyond the
Hi.
Technique.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to be with you today. And you are hitting this cool milestone and being in the industry. You had mentioned you started in the industry at age 20. So you were young, fresh, and really have grown just a tremendous brand and business. So congrats to you for that.
Thank
I am
you.
curious, how did this all start for you? I mean, some people get out. I hear stories of some people getting into school from high school. They have this opportunity. 20, you're kind of in that. Okay, did you go the traditional college route? Did you wait? Like, tell me about your journey and what brought you to the beauty industry.
Sure. So I didn't go to college. I moved to Costa Rica. This is a strange background. I'm fluent in Spanish, grew up speaking Spanish. So I moved to Costa Rica thinking I was going to be a translator, like English to Spanish translator. I lived there for a year. That's actually where me and my husband met, but he's from the States. He's from Pennsylvania, but we met down in Costa Rica. Anyway, moved back after a year, didn't know what I wanted to do. Didn't really have an idea of if I wanted to go to college or anything. I had a friend going into beauty school, and I was like, I'll just do that. My dad will be glad I'm doing something. And then it just clicked. And yeah, I was like top of my class. Everything just like made sense. Like all the chemistry, all the placement, everything just like made sense to me. And that was like the first time that I was like top of my class in anything in school stuff. So that was like really encouraging, I guess, to me. And yeah, I've just been going at it ever since.
I
Yeah,
mean, you really kind of went all out because you've done a lot in a short amount of time. And what do
yeah.
you feel has like helped propel your career the most?
So both of my parents are very like my mom's a teacher. My dad does like counseling and stuff he's a sales guy, but he's like mentored a ton of people. And so I feel like teaching is like in my blood. Like that's just like how they raised us. And I always say that both my parents when they got married, they took like, a random test for like personality and they were both like in the 90s of dominance. And so all of four of us kids are just shot. We are just like overpowering sometimes. And so, but I think that's like to my advantage because I get to help mentor or bring confidence or just speak into younger stylist lives, especially now that I've been in the industry for a long time. And like I've trialed and error everything. Like I've just done it all on my own. And I think that's my biggest passion. Like hair, obviously I love to do it. I love to foil. I don't know. I like doing hair. I like making my clients feel beautiful. But I think my real passion is encouraging other stylists to be successful, to be confident in who they are and in being able to run their own business and things like that. So I think hair is just like a gateway to be able to be more of like a mentor. And I have a full salon full of younger stylists, and it's just been, I've had it for 2.5 years. It's been amazing to just be there for them for any question they could have, which is amazing.
I know. I want to hear more. Tell us about where are you located and a bit about your salon business model.
Yeah, so we are in Carmel, Indiana. It's like a suburb outside of Indianapolis. It's like a wealthier suburb, which is great because we'll go up there and do hair, and then we all live like in Indianapolis or surrounding areas. Um, I've grown up in Indy, so this has been my home for 32 years, which is insane. Um, but it's in an old house. I've actually worked in an old house most of my career. I started off booth rent in like a booth type thing with one of my best friends that we met in beauty school. Um, we started that out like a year out of beauty school. We both worked in a commission, like high-end salon, which I think is extremely important to learn like, the back end of everything. Like work ethic is like that's where you're gonna learn that. And then we moved to booth rent way before we should have. So we were broke living at our parents' house. And then she opened a salon in an old house. I worked there for 7 years. And then I had the opportunity to open my own salon in an old house. So I took over an older salon and just kind of redid it. I have 12. Actually, we just added another one. So I have 13 stylists. We're at capacity with how small the space is. And yeah, they're just amazing. I interview everybody, so it's not really like because it's like an open concept salon. So I'm not a big talker, and my clients, like I've like curated a clientele where like either they talk to me about everything and I'm like a listening ear and just, or we're just kind of chilling. So I'm very chill, low energy type of person. I say I'm just boring and dull, which is fine. So working in like a single booth was awkward. Like I didn't have any, like if I wasn't talking and they weren't talking, it's just silent. So we're just like, so I loved the concept of like an open style salon that looks kind of like a commission salon, but everybody's individual. And that's what my friend opened in her salon. And then so I just took that same kind of business model, just a little bit bigger. So we're all independent, but it's all a shared space. So we have stations like all next to each other. We all have a shampoo room. Music goes over the whole salon, but we all like in the basement, we all have our own color stations. Um, so everyone provides their own stuff. So I'm not in charge of any one stylist and their clientele or anything. I'm in charge of providing a clean and like healthy space for them to work in. So that was a huge thing for me as a business owner. I didn't want anybody feeling like tension coming into work because we already, as stylists, have so much on our plates. Like mentally, physically, we're standing all day long. Mentally, you just have to be an entertainer for however many clients you have that day. Um, Multiple days in a row. And so, I mean, like, I wanted it to be a place where it felt relaxing. So like, it's beach themed. So it's like a vacation-y theme. So the clients and the stylists feel like a breath of fresh air, I guess, is what my vibe is. Um, so it just feels like airy, relaxed, um, simple, but still very elevated. So it's like a higher end booth rent salon. And yeah, it's just I want my stylist to feel comfortable coming to work and I want everybody to get along. If there's any drama, we just talk it out right then and there, get rid of it. Um, and
I,
yeah,
re-
I
I know.
wanted
I
it
like
to
it.
be.
It's kind of if you're listening to today's episode, if you watch today's episode, which you can click on the link in our show notes to watch this on our YouTube channel, you'll see Lexi in the background. Kind of gives me a bit of that vibe where it's like an
Yeah.
elevated, simplistic, but it's got that really airy feel to
My
it.
house too. So
Yeah, I love it.
that's all
Like
my decor is just
everything
like this.
everywhere. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool. No, there are owners listening who are like, I maybe want to embrace this business model. How do you go about like renting your chairs? Do you charge per week?
Yeah.
And what's that opportunity look like? How much are you able to earn per chair and,
Yeah.
kind of per month?
So we do weekly rent. That's just what I've always done. I did that at the like place that I worked at before. It's just a little bit easier than trying to get monthly. So we do weekly. Um, I've always used Square. Square is like a business platform, not necessarily just for hairstylists. And all of my like stuff goes through Square. So we sign up the stylist through Square, they put all their information in, and then it just automatically takes out rent for them. So they don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about it. It's all in Square calculated. Um, and then Square has like reports and stuff that they send to me. So it's like I would recommend definitely um, I don't know if Square's the best. That's just what I've always used. But if you have like a business, I would say more of like a business platform online to do it through. I know there's a lot of like scheduling apps for hairstylists specifically, but if you're gonna do like the business, like be the owner, I would say do one that is like for businesses, for small businesses or any business, not just specific to hair. Um, and Square has like I use it as my scheduling. So it's like I use it for all my clients and I use it for all my stylists. Now
Very
they have their own scheduling stuff, but for all their like rent stuff, I do that through Square. And yeah, ours is like so there's things that I provide. The rent's a little bit higher because of I want it to be a luxury space, so I want the space to look pretty. So we keep it well kept, very pretty decorated. It's not just like sterile little booths. Everything is cohesive and goes together. So, and then I provide all back bar shampoo because I don't want that space to be dirty with everyone's shampoo back there. So, because we have 13 stylists and 4 chairs, shampoo chairs. And so I wanted that to be really clean, put together. So I provide back bar shampoo. And then we all share, I provide bowls, brushes, bottles, clips, boards, color brushes, all that kind of stuff. We all have like a shared sink and like place that we keep all of that stuff. So everyone scales, like that's all down in the basement to where everyone has their own locker because they provide their own like foils, color, all that kind of stuff. And then they can mix with everything. And then I provide capes and towels. And so everyone shares the responsibility of like keeping the salon clean, doing laundry, cleaning the bowls and everything. And then I also provide drinks and snacks for clients and stylists. So, yeah, just like I want it to be very like a luxury service. So like come get what do you want to drink? We have so many different options. Have a snack. We have always good music going on. And I want the stylist to also understand like this is a higher ticket price per week, but it's like things are available to them. And I'm always available for any kind of question, business, color, whatever. And I feel like I've developed a really good trust relationship with all my stylists. Some of them are like they've been independent for a long time, and so they just kind of do their own thing and are just chilling. And then I have like a whole handful of like beginner stylists who I was able to get them like either coming out of a commission salon or like 2 years out of school, and like this is their first time being booth rent. And so then like I've had a couple that have been my assistants in the past, and then they've like started renting their own chair. And so it's just been like a really easy flowing process actually, which is amazing. So
Love
I'm
that.
about to open a second one and fingers crossed it's the same. It's going to be a much bigger scale, but I think if I have help now, like I have a business manager, which I think is super important. Um, Hire what you're not good at is my model. I'm not good with finances. I love to spend money. So I need someone to tell me not to spend money and keep track of all that. So hire what you're not good at. And yeah, I think that's like a huge one.
Absolutely. And I love how it kind of closer to the beginning, you shared that you enjoy that you do still, even though these are renters technically in your space, you have this opportunity to mentor them. This is a big
Yeah.
part of how you serve the industry. And you are very passionate about teaching stylists to
Yes.
serve others well, but without sacrificing all the different things that we tend to sacrifice as stylists. So tell me some of the things that you've noticed people just sacrifice and they pay the price that they wish they didn't have to pay, or they'll experience burnout and they know at some point that's not sustainable. What are you noticing that is a problem?
Yeah, so I think a lot, booth rent is a huge trend right now. So most people are going in that direction, like fresh out of beauty school, which is tricky. Um, or they're switching to it. It's very popular. There's places all over the place that have them. Um, and people just want to be independent. I think what they don't realize is what comes with that independence. Yeah, you get to be independent, but you have to do everything. And so a big part of that is like setting boundaries and understanding yourself. I think it comes like you have to realize this before your clients will realize this, that this is your job and this is your career and this is how you support your family. And so it's not like an emotional attachment to the clients. It's a very business minded structure. Of course, when you're with your clients, you want to develop a relationship with them and they want to trust you, vice versa, the respect, obviously. But when it comes to more back end stuff and like setting schedules, setting prices, setting boundaries, things like that, it's a business transaction instead of an emotional attachment. And I think a lot of people, I've had to learn this because I don't naturally um care what people think about me, or I don't naturally try to people please. And so I've had to learn that that's not as common, especially in our industry. It's way more common for stylists to feel like they have to cater fully to their clientele. And I think I think it's a fine line. When you're beginning, like of course you need to hustle and you need to take the clients no matter what, really, to build up your clientele for sure. So I'm not saying like don't do things you don't want to do because in the beginning you have to. I think I would work crazy hours. I would work with huge gaps in between my day. I would take clients that I don't necessarily love to do, but I have to make money. You know what I mean? Um, so at the beginning, and that lasted for probably about 3, 4 years out of beauty school, like on my own. And then once you start developing a clientele that like is your core clientele, um, then that's when you can add in a little bit more of like being more specific on things that you take if you want to be a specialist in something, or if you want to do be it like a well-rounded stylist and do all the services, that's great. But I think it's way more of like understanding that this is your job and then this is a business that you're creating. And yeah, up like setting your prices at a good scale to where you're located, your skill level, and not really base it on whether your clientele is able to, because hair's a luxury service. Like there's no way around that. Like it's not life or death. Um, so if you are investing in yourself, like especially if you're going to education classes, if you are using higher end products, If you are providing a really high-end service and appointment time, your prices should be able to reflect that, and people will appreciate that. Um, Another thing is like schedules. I know like a lot of like if you've done hair for at least 10 years, it was like you were like 9 to or 7 to whatever, and you did clients for however many hours they needed to get in. You'd stay till 9 p.m., like because they have to come after work or anything like that. And I think as you grow in your career and you like decide how you're gonna run your business, especially if you have kids. I have a couple stylists who have kids and who are used to working insane hours. And then they're like, they come to summertime and they're like, I want to be able to, like, I go home when it's dark and I don't get to spend time with my family. And I think that setting that boundary is very important because and this will reflect differently per stylist, per location, obviously. But your clients go to a 9 to 5 or whatever, or get to work from home even, you know what I mean? And so there's times where it's like we also can have the evening off. We also can have the weekend off. And I think one thing that came out of COVID that was nice is that most people work from home now, and so they can come during the day, during the week. And a lot of clients I've noticed don't necessarily want to come on a weekend. They don't want to spend their weekend in the salon because more luxury services do take longer. That's just, there's more detail going into the service fully. And so they do take like 4 or 5 hours. And so they don't want to spend their Saturday in the salons. They'd rather come to bring their laptop and work from the salon, which I'm like, thank you. Then I don't have to talk. Um, so I'd much rather have that. So I think it's really understanding, like going back to that, like understanding that there's being confident in like this is my business and owning that. And then that will reflect how your clientele comes in.
Yeah, I
I
like
hope that
that
makes
because,
sense.
I'm in a world where I think marketing solves most problems. So if you're trying to solve how do I fill my books based on the schedule I want to have that's best for me, you market differently. You
Sure.
communicate to a different audience, to the right audience who is going to appreciate and be available and value what you do when you do it.
Exactly. Yeah, and I've seen it both ways to where a lot of younger stylists, and I feel like I sound so old when I talk about younger stylists, but I have to remember I've done this for a while, and it was so different when I started out. Because social media was like barely beginning when I was in beauty school. Like ombre had just come on the scene and none of us knew how to do it, but that's what everybody wanted in school. Like they would come and we'd have clients. So that was just like balayage wasn't even there yet. Um, and so I think a lot of the social media, even though it's amazing, and I think it's so important as a business owner to be on social media. I always say if I didn't have my full business run by social media, I don't think I would be on it because I don't necessarily love it. But the benefits that a business can have from it is just it just outweighs that. So, um, but the negative side to that is that you see people being specialists and only taking certain clients, and you think you can start out like that. I always say post what you want in your chair, obviously, but when you're starting out, you have to take everybody. So that doesn't mean you have to take photos or record or whatever, everybody. Market what you actually want so that they start coming in more often. So then that you don't have to take everybody. Then you can start curating your clientele. And I think some of my stylists that I've seen or some stylists that I've mentored in the past, like that's hard to think about when they're first coming out of school because they see people on social media like specializing right away, thinking they have full books. And social media is fake, so you have no idea. They probably don't have full books. Um, so it's like a very like eerie line, like you have to be on it and promote and market yourself properly, but you also have to be present behind the chair, hustling back behind the scenes. And so I think marketing is it's so interesting. And like none of us know how to do it right away. None of us went to marketing college or whatever, like, so you have to like literally learn everything from scratch.
Well,
So
for
yeah,
you these days, what are your specialties behind the chair? And if you're educating from stage on the
yeah.
technical side, what's kind of your main jam?
So my favorite thing is blonding, any kind. So just using lightener necessarily, like not necessarily just bright blondes, any kind of like balayage blonde. I've really been educating a lot on low lighting recently, like the past couple of years. Um, I think low lights are harder than you think, and they're just like not really used as much. And so, yeah, color is my big thing. And then I've gotten a little bit into cutting education because I think your color is only going to look good with a good cut. I think knowing those two things is so important. And I've seen a lot of younger stylists not knowing how to cut hair, just like going head into color. And I think that can like hinder your career a little bit if you don't know how to cut hair to make this color look good, especially with like, like the face frame, like blowout look and things like that. Like that's so important. And so many clients want that.
Yep.
And then, yeah, just like I'm always an advocate. I've always been an advocate of understanding why you're doing something. So whether that is color, whether that is cutting, whether that is business mindset, whatever, whether that is like posting on social media, understanding why and not just like seeing other people do it and then you try to do it, like understanding, okay, why are they doing these certain techniques or why are they choosing to do this for um their marketing, like all these different things. Understanding the why is gonna make you way more successful than just like taking a formula off someone's Instagram and then trying it out and then it not working. And well, why did they use that and why did it not work on your client? Well, because your starting points were completely different.
Totally different context.
Um, yeah, so it's just like that, I think, is the most important part.
Mhm, mhm. I think that's so important to bring up, and I appreciate that. I'm curious because you brought up even like raising prices and whatnot. How do you know it's the right time, or do you have specific times on a consistent basis every year that you do that? And then what are your rules for bringing that up?
Yeah. So I think how to even base your prices is you have to kind of start backwards or bigger. Instead of like deciding how much a balayage is going to be, you need to decide how much you want to make a year and then work backwards. How much do you want to make a year and how many days a week do you want to work? And then it goes, okay, how many clients can I get in that per day or per week? And what does that add up to? And then you like break it down per service. Okay, so then how much do these longer services need to be priced at to be able to make that much that day, that week, that year? So it's kind of like working backwards. And since everyone's independent, you also need to take into consideration just like your level of expertise. I think that's one thing that stylists don't take into consideration on both ends. Either they start out with really high prices and their execution is not reflecting that higher price, or they've done hair for a long time and they've never upped their price, but they have had a ton of education. They've invested in their skills and their prices, like the work that they put out is incredible, but their prices also don't reflect that because they're too low. So I think there's two spectrums there. So your skill level needs to be in consideration. Your location plays a huge part in your pricing. Um, I mentioned that the suburb that we have a salon in is a little bit higher end. Um, So we can charge a little bit higher prices based on the clientele that lives there. If you're in a smaller town, it's just not possible to charge a certain amount of money. If you're in a big city, you get to charge higher prices because everything's more expensive. Your rent's more expensive, I'm sure, being in a big city. So the location is like a huge thing as well. And then products. So what am I using? How much am I using? What does this cost? So breaking that all down. How many bowls of lightener do I use per service? Do I do two different toners? And what does that cost? And so then you have to take the pricing of your like product and you have to subtract that and then you have to like add on to that so that your pricing can compensate for that and you're still making the money that you want to be making that day, week, year. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think those are the three main things that you just have to take into consideration. And unfortunately, they're going to be different for every person. But if you follow that same kind of model, it's a little bit more, it's easier to understand, like, okay, where do I even start?
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
because
I
that's
love how you
super
started with
tricky.
like, what do you want to make in a year? I
Yeah,
mean, it seems like so basic of a place to start, but we tend to think about, oh, what services am I going to do and how much should I charge for my haircuts compared
yeah,
to, and I like that you took a different route. Like, hey, what are your financial goals?
yeah.
So thank you for bringing that up. I think that is the smartest spot to start and then tracking it backward from there.
Yeah, and then it goes into this like being successful without sacrificing. It's like, okay, I'm making the money that I want to make. I'm not sacrificing the finances that I bring into my family, that I bring into my home. Like I said, this is your career. This is how you provide for your family, for you, whatever that may be. And so you have to make it worthwhile because it is a taxing job. Like we are tired at the end of the day. I'm always like to my husband, I'm like, just don't talk to me for like 30 minutes after I get home because I have talked so much that my brain just wants to like be numb for a second.
Yeah.
So it's not, and then we're on our feet, our knees, our heels, our backs, everything hurts all the time. And so it's like it has to be worth it in the long run. Like it has to be worth it or you're going to get burnt out. Yeah.
Well,
So
you've
that,
dropped so many good things with us, Lexi. I really love your heart. I love the cadence of your energy. Like, I'm actually here for that. I tend to be so high strung that when I go to yoga, I take the chill classes because that's what the body needs. So I like being around personalities and people like yourself. And I just love that you came here to be with me. Before we're done, though, what would be some final words of encouragement or wisdom for stylists listening and owners listening who are like really wanting to have more for themselves this year yet? And maybe they feel like they're sacrificing. What would you want to share with them?
yeah. I always say we can talk about hair, we can talk about business, but it comes down to who and what you think about yourself. And so being knowing you are a good person, knowing you're good at your job, that you can be successful, I think that's the core. If you don't have that like self-love or self-talk, positive self-talk to yourself, it's not going to happen. I think you bleed into your business and your career, and so starting out with being confident in who you are, and knowing that your friends, your family likes who you are, you like who you are smart, you are a professional at this job, that's only going to make you way more successful and be able to deal with difficult situations with a clientele or comments on social media or what firing a stylist, something like that. Knowing your core and who you are is, I think, the biggest thing and it's most important because this is a job. It can go away at any time. And if we're not confident in who we are outside of our job, then it's just, you're only going to have so much. It's going to be surface level the whole time. So understanding like, or being confident in who you are outside of your career, that's only going to make your career more successful and you be able to feel like you can do this forever and ever.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Thank you.
of
You're
course.
so great. Everybody, if you're not already following Lexi Dawn, we have her Instagram link in our show notes. Keep an eye on her and you'll see her at hair shows and you'll see just amazing content that she provides through Instagram and social media. So please go follow her. And yeah, thank you for being with me today, Lexi. It's so
Yeah,
awesome that we got to
thank
meet.
you. This has been great. Thank you so much. I love
My
it.
pleasure. And thank you all for joining us here week after week. If you appreciate this platform, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening so that more people like yourself will discover Beyond the Technique, where we're here to change the way that you are supported in your business. Until next time, have an awesome day and stay strong.